After the last video on our processing setup, I had lots of people ask me questions about certain things. One of the common questions was how we make our processing cones. I had somebody email me yesterday and ask if they could place an order for 4 of them, so I had to make some tonight anyway. I figured I'd take you through the process and show you how I make them. I have this template that I keep in the shop for whenever I make them. I have them listed for sale, so I get orders from now and then. The bottom dimension across the bottom is 32 inches. The top is 15 inches across, and then it is 14 inches high. I have some rolls of 14-inch material on the bench over there that I cut it out of, so technically I'm only cutting this, and then once that is cut, I can flip it and just cut it again, so there's really no waste once you get started. So I start by just rolling the metal out. As I said, this end is cut because I've already made that one. Just lay the template on, grab a marker, mark it to size, and cut it out. Line the next one up, mark it, the metal that I'm using here is galvanized only because that's what I had access to. Stainless would probably be better, but galvanized works. You want to find somewhere 28, 26 gauge metal. Much thicker than 26 would probably be pretty hard to work with. Much thinner than 28 would work, but just to be a little flimsier and maybe get bent up. Would still work though. After you got your metal cut out, you want to take the top and the bottom edge and roll a hem on it. You could use a metal rake if you have it. Most people don't, so using a board and a ball peen hammer works just fine. You want to work with the curve of your metal if you've got one. So if you're curving, understand that you want the outside of the hem to run to the outside. So since we're pounding it down, I'll start with the curve up. The hem you want to be about 1/8 inch or so. So just line that up with the edge of your board. I'll set this on top of it just so that I have something putting pressure on it to hold it in place. Verify about 1/8 of an inch on both sides, and then just start tapping it over that edge of that corner of your board. You want to make sure your board has a nice crisp edge, not like a 2x4 with a rounded over edge, because you want your hem to look nice. Once you've got it worked to 90 degrees over the edge of that board, just flip it over. Then take your hammer and continue to work that hem over past 90 until you can close it up. Once you have a bit of an obtuse angle like that, or acute angle, I guess it would be, that you can take your board and kind of push down and then just hammer this flat. Now flip it over and do the other edge. Same thing, you want to line that up with your corner with about 1/8 or so, 3/16 maybe. Use another board to hold it in place. And just start tapping it over. And hammer it flat. Now you want to take that natural curve of your metal and kind of work it over the edge to magnify the curve a bit, help you when it comes to bending it. And now we've got to create the fold for the seam. My plywood is 1/2 inch. That's what I use for the fold. So I'll just line it up with the outside edge, mark it, and then mark it on the opposite side of the other edge because you want the seams to be opposite one another. Again, just line it up and draw the line. Now you want to make that fold the same way you did the hem, using your line as a guide. Once you get it to 90, flip it over and work it over the rest of the way. And then push that seam over. Now you don't want to hammer this one flat yet. And then you will do the other side the opposite direction, and you'll see why in a second, why they have to be opposites. All right, now that you get opposite seams, this will basically roll and lock together. So just pull it around, try and get it started on one edge and work it up the seam. Locking it together. I've got this 2x6 horn on my workbench that I use to flatten this seam out. So pull the seam tight, flatten it out. I use a pair of pliers at this point and try and bend this top edge over. And then flatten that out. Now make sure your bottom is pulled tight against each other in that seam and lock it all the way down. Once that seam is hammered together, it's pretty much done. I like to add 2 rivets, one top, one bottom. So just drill a hole top and bottom. Grab a couple rivets, Put it in your rivet gun, stick it through the hole. And pop them. The one on the skinny part is a little bit tricky to get the rivet worked into. You want the hole to be small enough that it works, plus it's through the 4 layers. So work it through and then pop it. And there you go, complete. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Thanks for watching.